Hello friends, welcome to BuzzBite. As we know the data, predict the future, right? Understand the data, understand the price. So that's the mantra of this channel. We only talk about data, we talk about facts and figures. So today I have brought to you one very interesting video. As you know all that Zen Doge in the Zen ecosystem, right? Zen Doge is going to get launched on 20th May. I'm on their Twitter page and you can see here they are launching on 20th May, 11 Eastern time. So there's a lot of expectations from Zen Doge, and there is a lot of hype or a lot of discussions around Zen Doge that it's going to burn entire Zen supply, right? So we will be looking at will it really burn entire Zen supply, and what price target that we are looking at for Zen Doge? Will it reach 5 cents in the next 1 month or even next 15 to 20 days? Right, so we'll be looking at some of the data around Zen Doge and then try to predict, what price could Zen Doge reach to. Will it reach 5 cents or 10 cents or 15 cents? We don't know. So we'll look at the data and try to estimate or try to understand. Okay, so if I go to Zen Doge network, their website, right now you can see here, it's still DevNet because it's going to get launched on 20th of May. So this is where you have to come for minting on 20th of May, right? Now, I had already covered one video on Zen Doge that you can have a look at that video. It talks about what would be the price of Zen post Zen Doge launch, right? But the current video that I'm making right now, it's not going to predict the price of Zen. Instead, it's going to predict the price of Zen Doge. Okay, so this was the video that you are looking at the screen now. It was to predict the price of Zen. So now we are going to look at the price of Zen Doge. So it would be helpful for you viewers and also the new people who are going to watch this video, that it would be better if you can go through this video before watching the one that I'm making right now, because that way you can understand the entire flow and you can also understand the data, because there's a lot of data involved into my discussion, and when I try to put forth certain points, it's backed up with solid data. Okay, so I advise you to go through this. This video was made around 11 days ago. Okay, so let's go back to their website, and they have a light paper here. You can see here at the very top. So once you click on this, I've already opened the light paper, right? So I have already gone through this light paper in my previous video that I was showing you, but quickly some of the key points I would like to highlight here is that total max supply of Zen Doge is 50 billion. Okay, that's one. Second thing is they have different tiers, which they call it as a bonus tiers. Okay, so depending upon which tier you are able to mint, right? So when on 20th May, right, when the minting start, your tier 1 will start, which is the first tier, right? And when we reach the 15% of the supply of the total max supply, which is 50 billion. So if you take 15% of 50 billion, I'm talking billion, it comes to around 7.5 billion Zen Doge tokens, right? So when that happens, your bonus will reduce from 1500% and it will go into the next tier, which is 15 to 25% of the supply minted, and your bonus will become 1000%. Okay, so this is very important because I have in the sheet that I'm going to show you, I mentioned that for every 1 million token that of Zen that you burn, what would be the mint or Zen Doge? What would be the number of how many Zen Doge you would be able to mint? So I have provided that in the sheet, taking this bonus into consideration. So we'll come to that. Okay, so this is something I wanted to highlight that. So you can see here in the light paper, based on which tier you mint and how many Zen Doge is allocated for that tier. Okay, so if you sum this up total, you will get 50 billion Xendoge, which is their max supply. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about, this light paper goes on to talk about for each tier how many Zen that you would be burning to get that 7.5 billion Zen Doge tokens. Okay, so let's go into our sheet. Okay, before that, the if you this one is very important key metric. Let's say you burn entire you basically mint the entire supply of Zen Doge, which is 50 billion. Okay, so to reach or to mint complete max supply of Zen Doge, which is 50 billion, you will have to burn 15.88 trillion Zen. And so that's what they are talking about, that you hear people saying that, okay, we'll burn the entire Zen supply, right? Because if you go to the website on Zen, right, and if you look at their supply, the total supply, let's go quickly on Ethereum Ethereum mainnet. We can look into what is their current total supply. Okay, so if you go here on their Ethereum mainnet, you can see here it's approximately 12 trillion supply. Okay, 12 trillion of Zen as on today. So they are saying that to burn entire to mint entire Zen Doge supply, you would need 15.88 trillion of Zen, whereas the current supply as it stands is around 12 trillion. So that's why they are predicting that we will burn the entire Zen supply. But anyway, we will look into that in our sheet. And as I said, I have explained that in my previous video also, whether they'll be able to really burn entire supply, or is there a twist into that. Okay, so let's come back to let's go into straight into my data sheet that I prepared to analyze what would be the price of Zen Doge. Okay, so let me explain quickly about this data sheet before we deep dive into the analysis. Okay, so if you look at the current price of Zen, and we can look at this here on my coin market cap, it is around 0.5028, right? So that's what I have. Let's make it 28 to be precise. Okay, so this is the current price of Zen, and the previous supply, basically when I had prepared the last video, which I had showed you around 11 days ago, that time the total supply of Zen on Ethereum was 11 trillion. Okay, for this see, Zen Doge is going to be minted on Ethereum network only. So we are, for this analysis, we are only considering Ethereum. We are not looking at other mainnets like BSC or Polygon and all other chains. Okay, we are only looking at Ethereum chains. So I'm talking about the Ethereum chain. So when I made that video around 11 days ago, the supply of Zen was 11 trillion, and the current supply roughly it's around 12.08 trillion. It's roughly, it has increased in the 11 days, it has increased by 1 trillion. Okay, so this is something I wanted to highlight here before we proceed, because this is alarming also, because in 11 days the supply is increasing by 1 trillion. So in approximately 30 days you can expect it will increase by around 3 trillion at the same rate. Okay, I also know in the last 1 or 2 months the Zen minting has slowed down like anything, because if you go to their website and try to mint even the Zenturion, which gives you Zen around 3 billion Zen at a future date, roughly the date is around September right now. To mint that, it cost you around $7,000 to $8,000. In Ethereum terms, it cost you around 3 to 4 Ethereum. So it's very costly. Right now, the minting has slowed down like anything. People are not able to mint. And just to talk about my some of the experiences, I had actually minted some Zen through ZenFT. Okay, and it was. It has a maturity date as on yesterday, and when I try to claim that, the claim fee was around $99. Okay, and when I tried to claim, it was coming to around 28 million Zen tokens, and when I multiplied that with the market price, it was coming around $70. So my claim fees is more than the more than if I try to buy those many tokens from the market. So it has become completely, I would say, illogical to mint, not only to mint but even to claim. Now I'm thinking, because I can buy at $70 instead of minting, instead of claiming that at $90. So it was like, I was shocked to see that. And that's how the gas cost has gone up on Ethereum chain. So it is impossible to mint now. The best thing is for people who want to buy is to buy from the market, which is Zen on Uniswap, or you can also go to OpenSea and buy Zenturion, which is available at around 0.85 to zero point 0.9 ETH, right, which comes to around $1,600 to $1,700. But the same thing, if you want to mint, it will cost you $8,000. Okay, so I wanted to highlight that because it's pretty important. So I'm expecting that in the last 1 or 2 months, or even now, the minting of Zen has gone down drastically. And whatever this additional supply of 1 trillion that has happened, this has happened because of the fact that people would have minted maybe 4 months back or 5 months back, and those have matured in the last 11 days, and that is equivalent, that is approximately around 1 trillion. Okay, so again, this is very alarming and shocking, because 1 trillion supply in 11 days is unthinkable. I do not know if those NFTs are giving I mean, they have matured, and they, because of that, the supply have increased. So that is something I would be looking at very closely to understand how the supplies are increasing. But I wanted to bring this to your notice because this is of paramount concern, and you should be worried if you are into Zen ecosystem. I have minted a lot of Zen, and I have a big stake into Zen ecosystem. Stake in the sense like I purchased a lot of Zen FT. So I would be watching very closely this whole thing, how the supplies are increasing, and you should also if you are into Zen ecosystem. Okay, so this is the current supply. Okay, and based on the current supply, the market cap, if you look at here, it comes to around 33.829 million of Zen. Okay, so this is this line is important. And then here, if you go from line 5 to 18, these are the different tier system that we talked about while watching the light paper of Xendoge, right? And these are the different tiers, and within each tiers, how many Zen Doge would be minted? So within 0 to 15%, around 7.5 billion Zen Doge would be minted. By the end of tier 2, we would have 5 billion Zen Doge. If you sum them up total, it comes to around tier 13 also is there. I think I missed it. So it comes to around you can see here 50 billion total Zen Doge. Okay, so this would be minted if we complete till tier 13, where we complete 100% of supply. Now for each tier, the column D talks about how many Zen would be required to burn so that we can get 7.5 billion Zen Doge. So to get there, we would need to have 500 billion Zen, which needs to be burned to get there. I told you here this amount is less compared to if you look at tier 3, tier 4, and that's primarily because of the bonus that you are getting here. Okay, so because of this bonus, which you see here 1500% or 1000%, because of that, the amount of Zen burned would be less in tier 1 as compared to tier 2. In tier 2, it's less than 500 billion, because here you can see here that Zen Doge minted is not 7.5 billion, but it's 5 billion. So that's the reason it is showing as 454 billion Zen. But even then, it's comparable to the first tier 1, and that is because you are getting 15% bonus in tier 1, whereas in tier 2 you are only getting 1000%. Okay, so these column D tell you how many Zen would be burned in each tier to mint the allocated supply of Zen Doge within that tier. Okay, and tier column E tells you whatever Zen that we are burning, right, in within that tier, what is the value of that at the current price. So the current price we talked about, it's 0.5028. At that price, the value of this 500 billion Zen would come to around 1.4 million dollar. Okay, this is in dollar. Okay, let me put it here. Okay, so we said that 1.4 million dollar worth of Zen would be burned once we complete tier 1. We also do not know how quickly tier 1 is going to get finished or completed. Maybe it will take 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, we don't know, right? Tier 2 could take another maybe half a day or even maybe full day. Tier 3 could take 3 to 4 days or even less than that. Tier 4 could take around 5 to 6 days. Tier 5 could take 10 days or 15 days. Tier 6 could take maybe 1 month to 2 months. We don't know, but this is what we will see on their website, right? As I told you, on their website, if you go here, you will be able to see here how many Zen has been burned or how many Zen Doge have been minted. Based on this data, you can very quickly understand which tier we are in, right? If it has minted more than 7.5 billion, you clearly know that it's in tier 2. And if it has minted more than 12.5 billion, then clearly you will know that it's in tier 3, right? So for each tier, you will know how many have been minted, and based on that, you can quickly determine which tier you are in, right? So column E tells you the total value in USD terms of the Zen burned, right? So this is how this is a dollar amount of Zen which will be burned, right? And ignore column F and column G. Okay, for this discussion it is not important. This was required for the previous video. I have basically updated the same sheet that I used for the previous video. Okay, now this is the bonus structure that we talked about. For each tier, what percentage of bonus you'll be provided. Okay, so so this is a bonus for each tier. Okay, now as I told you in the last video, by the time we come from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 6, by the time we reach tier 5 or tier 6, the rate of burning or rate of burn of Zen will slow down. Okay, and I had also shared that when we come to around between tier 5 and tier 7, the rate of burn of Zen will slow down drastically. And why would that happen? Because it will slow down because your bonus is going down as you go through different tiers, right? And you are burning Zen, right? You are burning these dollars, right? So when you burn these dollar, right, you will, if let's say you are burning $100 worth of Zen, you would expect that the Zen Doge that you get, it should be at least worth minimum $100, right? If it's below that, obviously you are not going to burn Zen, right? So that's the reason it will slow down, because as you go to the next year, your bonus is going to come down and you are uncertain about the price of Zen Doge. So you be very careful to burn Zen at that point of time, right? Tier 1, you know that you are going to get 1500% bonus. So everybody will fight to get into tier 1, right? Tier 2, 1000%, yes, even here also people would still be fighting to get into tier 2. Tier 3 again slows down 666%. Probably people who are not who could not get into tier 1 or tier 2, probably they will try to mint in tier 3. And another important thing is that you must note that since there will be a very tough competition within each of the top tiers, the gas fee, Ethereum gas fee also would be pretty high. So when you are minting, you not only have to consider the future price of Zen Doge, but also the cost of minting, right? Cost of minting Zen Doge, because you would have to pay in the Ethereum terms. And I do not know what would be the gas fee on that day, okay, when you mint this Zen Doge. So you also have to consider that data, okay, before you think about whether you should mint in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, because as you go along tier 2 to 3, 4, the competition will be less and maybe the Ethereum gas fee will come down. So it's kind of a balancing act you have to do. I am personally, if you ask me, I'm thinking, considering that probably Ethereum gas fee would be very high in tier 1, I would be watching. I would not jump into it. Maybe I'll try to grab some of the some Zen Doge in tier 2. That would be my target. But again, it all depends upon on that day how the Ethereum gas fee goes and how quickly tier 1 or tier 2 gets filled. So it all depends upon that. Okay. Now let's come to so I'm expecting that between tier 5 and tier 7 uh, it could stabilize. When I say minting stabilization, when I say stabilize, it basically means that the rate of burn of Zen or minting of Zen Doge will slow down drastically. And when I say why I have highlighted tier 6, because my assumption is that when we reach to tier 6, the minting of Zen Doge will slow down to such an extent that maybe tier 6 will go on for even for a month or more, because in tier 6 you only have 197% advantage. Okay, so basically let me show you this. If you this what I'm highlighting right now, right? When you burn 1 million of Zen in tier 1, you will get 16,000 Zen Doge. Okay, if you go to tier 2, let's say you missed the tier 1 because of gas fee, or maybe you could not do it on time. If you go to tier 2, because the tier 2 the bonus is 1000%, right? If you mint one, if you burn 1 million of Zen, you will only get 11,000 Zen Doge, right? So this sheet gives you total how many Zen Doge you are going to get as we move from tier 1 to tier 13. Okay, when you reach tier 13, you have no advantage. You would get 1 to 1. So basically you burn 1 to 1 in the sense like sorry, it's not 1 to 1. For every 1000 Zen that you burn, if it's 1 to 1, you will get 1 Zen Doge. Okay, that is the ratio. So when you reach 13 tier 13, you basically will be getting 1 Zen Doge for every 1000 Zen burn. So if you burn 1 million Zen, right, obviously you are going to get 1000 Zen Doge. So as you can see here, on tier 1 you are getting 1500% bonus. So basically instead of getting 1000, you get 1000 plus 1500% of 1000, which is around 15,000. Not around, which is 15,000. So total you'll get 16,000. That's how the calculation happens. Okay, so you can see here as we move from tier 1 to tier 3 to tier 6, tier 6 you are only getting 2,970, which is like 2.97 times tier what you get in tier 30. So your advantage is getting reduced as we move to later tiers. So that's why I'm saying that by the time you reach tier 6, given the uncertainty of the price of Zen Doge, and given the fact that your bonus has come down, probably between tier 5 and tier 7, the rate of burn of Zen or minting of Zen Doge will slow down drastically. Maybe it will take 1 month to 2 months to complete tier 6. So this is what I mean by tier this is what I mean by minting stabilization. Okay, so I have taken few scenario here, and so I'm considering, if you look at row number 21, I'm considering that let us say that we minting stabilization happens in tier 4. That is, instead of happening in tier 6, let's say this happens in tier 4. That is, by the time we come to tier 4, right, we would have minted roughly around, I would say, 22.5 billion Zen Doge, right? So at this point of times, it does give you a bonus advantage of 444%. But people, considering the Zen Doge price uncertainty, people might think that they may not want to mint, or maybe the rate of mint could slow down drastically here. Okay, so I have assumed that minting stabilization could happen in tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 and tier 7. So I have taken these 4 different scenarios. Though I have mentioned to you that it will happen between tier 5 and tier 7, but for this analysis I am considering that let us take these different scenario and let us see what would be the Xendoge market price. Okay, so let's talk about tier 4. Okay, so tier 4, you can see here the total Zen burned. So by the time you reach tier 4 on line number 9, right, you would have burned total Zen of value 6.756 million. You can see here this, so this basically sums up these 4 rows, okay, till tier 4. This is the total Zen burned value in USD. Okay, so let's mention it here. This is in USD. And when you so once you burn so many Zen, you would have minted 22.5 billion Zen Doge, right? So you can see here till tier 4 I would have minted 22.5 billion Zen Doge, right? So basically, in other words, we can say that to mint 22.5 billion Zen Doge, I have consumed 6.756 million worth of Zen. So if I divide that with that many Zen Doge, that should be my base price. So when I divide that, I get 0.0003 USD. Okay, and this is again USD. Okay, so this should be my base price. If it goes below that, then obviously nobody is going to mint Zen Doge, right? Because then it becomes non-profitable, right? So this is my base price, right? Now coming to this column, multiplier effect, I'm expecting now this tells me that, let us say that from this base price, which is like I would say cost, it's like cost of manufacturing something, right? So let's say my cost of manufacturing one Zen Doge is 0.0003 USD, right? And let's say I multiply that by 5, and that is what is minimum return that I'm expecting, right? So let's say if you multiply that with 5, multiplier effect is 5, I arrive at Zen Doge market price of 0.0015. We do not know whether on top of base price whether it will multiply or it will go 5 times or 10 times. So when you multiply with 10, you get this is the market price you get, right? 0.003. So I multiplied 10 with this price, base price. Base price I told you, it's a cost of manufacturing one Zen Doge, right? So I get when I have a multiplier effect of 10, I arrive at this price. So if you go down, let's say the market price goes up 25 times the base price, right? Then I will arrive at this price 0.0075, right? So when we started the video, I said that I raised the question, will it reach 5 cents, right? Of the Zen Doge, right, which is 0.05, and right now we are looking at 0.0075 if it goes 25 times, if the price goes 25 times over and above the base price, right? So like that I have analyzed for till tier 7. Okay, so let's look at tier 5 again, once again, similar to what we have done in tier 4. Tier 5, if you look at here, total Zen we would have burned by the end of tier 5 would be roughly around 10.256 million, which you can see here. Okay, and total Zen Doge that we would have minted by tier 5 would be total of 27.5 billion, which is billion Zen Doge. Okay, and if I divide this B28 with C28, I arrive at the base price of 0.00037. And you can see here the difference. There is a difference in base price for tier 4 and tier 5, and that is happening because, as I told you, because of this bonus percentage, right? So the people who are minting in the top tiers, tier 1, they are having advantage, right, as compared to tier 2 or as compared to tier 3, and that's why the base price changes. Okay, so if we complete till tier 5, this would be my base price. And if I look at the multiplier effect, that if I multiply the base price with 5 times, assuming that it goes up 5 times, we would arrive at this price. Okay, and similarly if it goes by 10 times, it will arrive at 0.0037, right? 15 times 0.0055, like that. If it goes up by 25 times, 0.0093 USD, right? This is also in USD. Okay, so that you need to understand, right? Now similarly, if let's say the minting goes till tier 6, and tier 6 it really stabilizes, it stays in tier 6 for a long time, right? So Based on that, I have arrived at this price similar to what I did for tier 4 and tier 5. Similarly, here I have applied the multiplier effect and then arrived at the what would be my market price of Zen Doge. Okay, same thing I have done for tier 7. Okay, and you can see here, um, if I come to tier 7, right, you can see here these prices are more than compared to tier 6 or tier 5 or tier 4, and that is primarily because you are minting Xendoge, right? So you are burning more Zen, right? As we go through different tiers, see, in tier 1 you had to burn less Zen to get these many Zen Doge, right? But as you move along the different tiers, your number of Zen or amount of Zen value in USD that you are burning is more, right? So, to mint the same amount of Zen Doge. And that is the reason when we move through tier 4 to tier 7, your base price is going to become higher, right? Because now you are burning more Zen, so your base price changes, and when you apply the multiplier effect, your Zen Doge market price goes up. This is also to, you can also understand in this fashion that more number of tiers that we achieve, there is a more network effect. What I mean by network effect is that there are more number of adopters, there are more number of people who are minting, there are more number of buyers of Xendoge, right? So your number of people who are going to hold Xendoge is increasing, which in turn increases its market price or market value. That's another way to look at this data. Okay, so so my assumption is that by tier 7, if we reach tier 7 and if you are able to mint completely, my base price would be this 0.00051, and applying the multiplier effect, okay, of from 5 to 25, this is the price that I will arrive at. So keeping this in mind, I wanted to understand what would be my Zen Doge value if let's say I'm burning only 1 million of Zen, right? So let's say, there are different people, 10 different people, each one of them are burning only 1 million Zen, okay? Not more than 1 million, okay? I want to understand, benchmark, what happens to that 1 million Zen burn if we stabilize under different tiers, right? So as I told you, stabilization means that the rate of burning of Zen within that tier slows down drastically, okay, and it remains in that tier for a long period of time. Okay, so that's what I mean by minting stabilization. So let's say we stabilize in tier 4, and you as an investor, or you who is going to burn Zen to mint Zen Doge, and who is only burning 1 million of Zen Doge, okay, we want to see the value of that, and we want to see how much in return, how much value of Zen Doge we are going to get. Okay, that is the exercise that we are trying to do here. Okay, so I am taking for this analysis only multiplier effect 5, so I am only considering this one. Okay, so that is also something you should understand, that for this analysis I am only considering multiplier effect of 5, to be on the conservative side, right? If I take a multiplier effect of 25, what you are going to get in return could be 5 times more. Okay, but I have taken a more conservative figure. I am expecting that if we come to till tier 6, we will stabilize between multiplier effect of 5 and 10, which is basically roughly a price of 0.00229 to 0.00459. So my range of Xendoge price per Xendoge, it will settle somewhere between these two numbers, okay, over a period of say 20 days to 1 month. It may go up or down, but it should settle somewhere here. Of course, if it if there is some negative sentiments, it may have a multiplier effect of less than 5, or even it could touch multiplier of 2 or 3, then obviously the price is going to go down. But my expectation is that given the in general about meme coins, like Xendoge is a meme coin, right, and there's a lot of hype around that, I'm thinking that it will have a multiplier effect of something around 5 to 10 multiplier over and above the base price. Okay, so as I said, coming back to here, let's say we stabilize in tier 4, when the rate of burn of Zen goes down drastically, in tier 4, let's say, I'm assuming that. And let's say you entered in tier 1, which is basically what I'm saying, that you entered in tier 1. In tier 1, you were able to mint 1 billion. 1 million Zen, right? So if you had entered in tier 1, and so you would get around 16,000 Zen Doge, right? So if you have entered in that tier, which is tier 1, whereas the minting stabilization happens in tier 4, where it remains there basically, right? So tier 4 basically means that it would not have crossed 22.5 billion of Zen Doge, right? It would be somewhere below that. So if you minted in tier 1 and the stabilization happens in tier 4, your cost to mint, right? Your cost to burn Zen, 1 million Zen, right? If you take it at the current price, which is 0.5028, it comes to around 2.8 USD. Okay, so this is all in USD, right? So this is your cost is $2.8, but when you mint it, you get 16,000 Zen, right? Zen Doge, right? I told you. So if you multiply that, that is N23, which is 16,000. If you multiply that with this price, which is 0.0015, which basically means that in tier 4, I told you, when tier 4 stabilization happens, this is would be my base price. If I have a multiplier effect of 5, I'll get this as a market price. So I'm taking this market price for calculation of my Zen Doge value, okay, for 1 million Zen burn. So I arrive at $24. Okay, so if I have entered in tier 1 and if I had burned 1 million Zen, it would have costed me $2.8, right? But tier 4 is when the minting stabilization happens. If I were to sell Zen Doge at that market price, which is this one, I would get around $24. So I would have multiplied my value by roughly around I would say 8 to 9 times. Okay, so this is around 8 to 9 times. So based on, let's say you invest or you burn 100 million Zen, right? So 100 million Zen would be 2.8 times 100, which would be $280. So if you multiply 280 with 9 times, roughly around 9, you would get around 2300 USD or 2400. So what I'm trying to tell you, you are going to have 8 to 9 times advantage in terms of, or you would have gained around 800% to 900% if you enter in tier 1, assuming that it stabilized in tier 4. Stabilization means rate of burn of Zen has gone down drastically, and tier 4 is continuing for some period of days, right? Maybe it may take 10 days, 20 days or 30 days. Okay, so this is the amount of value of Zen Doge you will get. Similarly, if you enter in tier 2, for your investment of $2.8, you will get $16.51. Okay, for tier 3, similarly you will get $11.5, and tier 4 you will get $8.16. So if you come to if you have, let's say you entered in tier 4 and where we are still sitting, you would still have around 2 to 3 times advantage in terms of value that you get. And all these hold good. Remember, all these hold good, assuming that there is a multiplier effect of 5 over and above the base price. And I told you how I arrived at the base price, right? So all these will hold good only when the Zen Doge goes up in terms of the price, given the meme effect, given the community members, given how it is marketed, how it is advertised, what is the total number of holders. All that will determine the price, whether it is 5 times or 10 times, only the time will say. Okay, now so let's come down to next tier 5. Let's say minting stabilization happens in tier 5, right? So we see, and your entry was in tier 1. Basically you minted in tier 1, right? So if you look at tier 5, 5 at a multiplier effect of 5, my base price, my market price comes to 0.001864, which is 5 times the base price. Okay, so considering that, your cost is going to remain the same, right? 1 million Zen that you are going to burn, it will be at the market price. I'm assuming that market price will be 0.005028, but it could vary on that day. But I've assumed the current price as the market price, right? So your cost is same, but the value that you're going to derive if it goes to tier 5, if the stabilization happens in tier 5 and you entered in tier 1, you would have more advantage, right? Because more number of people are entering, they are burning more Zen as compared to you. You have between the tier 5, 3960 and 16,000, you have 4 times advantage, right? So obviously if you have entered in tier 1, you are going to get more value, right? So your cost is $2.8, but what you are going to get is 29.83. Similarly, people who have entered in tier 2, they are going to get 20.51. Tier 3, people who are entered in tier 3 going to get 14.28, like that. Okay, so tier 5 is the stabilization. If the tier 5 stabilization happens, if it happens in tier 6, so there is a lot of demand of Zen Doge. People are willing to jump into Zen Doge. They want to mint it, right? And so if remember, if the price of Zen Doge burn, if Zen Doge goes up, even the Zen prices will go up, because if there is if you are able to convert, so if one side of the equation, if it goes up in terms of the price, the other side will obviously go up, because as I told you, we are arriving at this base price. Zen Doge is not getting coming out of the thin air, right? We are burning Zen to get Zen Doge. So Zen Doge value is getting derived from the Zen. So you must remember that. Okay. So in tier 6, right, if the stabilization happens in tier 6, this would be my return depending upon where I enter or which tier did I burn my Zen. If I burned my Zen in tier 1, I would have roughly around 15 to 16 times advantage here. Okay, and if you burn in tier 6, you still have roughly around 2 to 3 times advantage. Okay, so and similarly if it goes to tier 7, so what it basically means that by tier 7 I would have burned roughly around 6.4 trillion of Zen out of current supply of 12. Imagine what would happen to the price of Zen if we are able to reach to tier 7. Okay, and I would have minted roughly around, by tier 7, I would have minted around 35 billion, which is kind of 70% of the total supply of Zen Doge, right? So it is highly unlikely that it will reach tier 7, but let's assume that it goes to tier 7. Then this would be your advantage. If you burn 1 million of Zen, which is worth $2.8, you will get around $41 if you minted or if you entered and got your Zen Doge within tier 1. If you go to tier 1, tier 2, you get 28.2 and so on and so forth. You can see here, if tier 7, you are still able to double your money, assuming that multiplier effect is 5, which is assuming that for tier 7, right, your Zen Doge price stays 5 times over and above the base price of 0.005. Assuming that, I'm saying that tier 7, if you are minting, if you are entering, and if you are entering in tier 7, it basically means that stabilization is around the corner, or it's happening in tier 7, roughly around that, right? You would still have advantage here. Okay, so and all these multiplier effect or all these values, it's getting derived from these multiplier effects of 5. Okay, so it basically means that Zen Doge price, given its mean value, its price goes up in the future. Okay, so this is my analysis. In nutshell or in summary, I feel yes, you should go ahead and mint Zen Doge. Especially you should try to catch it in the top 3 tier 1 to tier 3. Beyond that, it may become unprofitable because we do not know how the Zen Doge price is going to move, right? It's going to move up over and above the base price, or whether it's going to have a 2 times multiplier effect or 5 times, or it goes below the base price. We do not know, but my assumption is that given that we have a very large community in Zen, and there is a lot of hype around Xendoge, I am hoping that it will have minimum multiplier effect of 5, between 5 and 10, and over a period of 20 days to, let's say, 1 month, I'm hoping that it should settle down in tier 6 and price will be somewhere around 0.0022 to 0.0045. I repeat, the price of one Zen Doge in dollar terms would be between 0.00229 and 0.00459. This is my assumption. Okay, given that it multiplies over 5 times, or between 5 times and 10 times in over and above the base price, given the assumption that we reach tier 6, so people there's a people are really excited about Xendoge project, and we are able to reach to this level where we are able to mint 32.5 billion Xendoge. So given that assumption, I feel that the price could settle down between these two numbers. Okay, so this is what I've been this has been what my finding. And as I told in the beginning of this video, my question was whether the Zen Doge will reach a price of 5 cents. Okay, so if it were to reach a price of 5 cents, and I'm assuming that if it goes to 5 cents, there would be continuous burning of Zen. People would be quite excited, and everybody would want to mint Zen Doge and burn Zen, given that whole hype around Zen Doge, and since its price is rising. So I'm assuming that we would have reached tier 7, right? And if we would have reached tier 7, if there is a multiplier effect of 25, the price that comes to 0.0128. Okay, so if it were to reach 5 cents, the multiplier effect should be somewhere around 100 and 125 over and above the base price, which to me, in this bear market kind of a market where Bitcoin is sitting at somewhere around 27,000, right? The entire market is down. There is not much liquidity into the market. Interest rate, the federal interest rate is still high. It's ranging between 5 and 5.25%. Given all that, I'm not hoping that it can have a multiplier effect of between 100 and 125. So to reach 0.05, as I said, it should multiply not by 25, but the multiplier effect would be 125, which seems to me highly unlikely. So as I said, the price could settle down between these two numbers, which is 0.00229 and 0.00459, which is the price in US dollar for one Zen Doge. So I hope that you liked this video, and if you are really appreciate the effort that I'm putting in to make such video, please do like and subscribe this video, so that in the future when I come up with many such video based on facts and figures and data, you will enjoy that. So please do like and subscribe, and also share these videos with your colleagues and friends, so that other people can also subscribe to my channel and benefit from such hard work and analysis. Thank you.